After a lengthy journey from America, a traveler arrived in Ireland, eager to immerse himself in the renowned Irish pub culture. Intrigued by the Irish love for style, particularly in their enjoyment of beverages, he set out to explore the vibrant streets. His attention was captured by a cozy pub with a sign proclaiming the best pint of Guinness in town. Unable to resist, he entered the bustling establishment, filled with locals engaged in lively conversations and laughter over pints of beer. The inviting aroma of roasted barley and hops filled the air. Confident and adventurous, the traveler approached the bar and decided to make a playful wager. Pulling out a wad of cash, he announced to the entire pub, "I've just arrived from America, and I've heard tales of how much the Irish enjoy stout. I've got $500 for anyone who can drink 10 pints of Guinness in 10 minutes or less." While the barkeep chuckled, the patrons remained mostly silent, with one even leaving. Undeterred, the traveler ordered a pint for himself, determined to enjoy his Irish experience. A few minutes later, the departed patron returned to the pub, addressing the traveler with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Confirming his identity, the American eagerly repeated his wager, offering $500 for the challenge. The Irish lad agreed, and the bartender lined up 10 pints. The crowd gathered around, curious to witness the outcome. The American checked his watch, and the Irish lad, seemingly having prepared his throat with some secret technique, astonishingly downed all 10 pints. In just 9 minutes and 13 seconds, the crowd erupted in cheers as the American handed over the wad of cash. Inquisitive, the American asked, "Aren't you the guy who left when I first called out my wager?" The Irish lad grinned and replied, "I had to go to the pub next door to make sure I could do it." The mother successfully married off all 3 of her daughters, and as each daughter embarked on her honeymoon, the mother requested a coded message on their experiences by sending an advertisement from a newspaper. A few days later, the mother received an envelope from her first daughter containing an advertisement for a brand of cigarettes with the slogan, "King size for extra pleasure," eliciting a smile from the mother. The following day, she received another envelope from her second daughter, this time with an advertisement for a brand of coffee boasting the slogan, "Good till the last drop," and once again the mother smiled. However, several days passed without any communication from her third daughter. Eventually, an envelope arrived with her address written in shaky handwriting. Upon opening it, the mother discovered an advertisement for an airline with the slogan, three times a day, 7 days a week, both ways. A diligent farmer passed away, leaving all his belongings to his devoted wife. Despite her desire to maintain the farm, she lacked familiarity with farming intricacies. To secure assistance, she advertised in the local paper. 2 cowboys responded to her ad, one openly gay and the other known for his penchant for drinking. After thoughtful consideration and no other applicants, she chose to employ the gay cowboy, deeming it a less risky choice than the heavy drinker. The decision proved advantageous. The gay cowboy was industrious, knowledgeable, and contributed significantly to the farm's prosperity. Appreciating his unwavering dedication one Sunday, the widow suggested he take a night off in town to relax. Eagerly agreeing, the farmhand ventured into town for a night out. However, as midnight passed without his return, the widow grew increasingly anxious. He eventually arrived around 2:30 in the morning. Entering the room, he found the widow comfortably seated by the warm fireplace, sipping wine as if awaiting his return. With a gentle gesture, she beckoned him over and whispered nervously, "Please unbutton my blouse and take it off." He complied. She continued, "Now, carefully remove my boots." And he did, setting each boot aside with precision. "Next my socks," she instructed, and he gently took them off, placing them next to the boots. "Now, unfasten my skirt," she said. His fingers fumbled a bit, but he managed, all the while maintaining eye contact illuminated by the soft glow of the fire. Finally, she whispered, "Now, my bra." With hesitant hands, he followed her request. Leaning in with a stern look, she said, "Listen closely. If you ever wear my clothes into town again, you're fired." A large number of viewers watch my videos without a subscription. Therefore, subscribe to my channel so as not to miss new videos with funny jokes. A man was on his deathbed looking at his wife with sincerity. He expressed his lifelong love for her and admitted to cheating on her once, expressing remorse. Curious about her own actions, he asked if she had ever cheated on him, reassuring her that he just wanted the truth. After a moment of hesitation, the wife confessed to cheating 3 times. Surprised, the man inquired about the first time, and the wife explained that it was to cover the costs of his needed heart surgery when they couldn't afford a doctor. Accepting the reasoning, he inquired about the second time, and she revealed that it was to prevent the bank from foreclosing on their house by having sex with the bank manager. Grateful for the saved house, he asked about the last time, and the wife mentioned that it occurred when he wanted to become president of the golf club and needed 69. The man quietly slipped into bed, kissed his wife on the cheek, and drifted into a deep sleep. To his surprise, he woke up in front of the pearly gates, greeted by St. Peter, who informed him that he had died in his sleep. In disbelief, the man, named Ralph, insisted that he couldn't be dead and pleaded to be brought back to life. St. Peter, considering the request, explained that it involved a lot of paperwork, but offered 2 alternatives: to come back as a fish or as a chicken. Given the options, Ralph, not fond of swimming, thought being a chicken might be more comfortable. He envisioned a life of leisure, walking around, pecking at the ground, and enjoying a stress-free existence. St. Peter agreed, and the next thing Ralph knew, he was covered in feathers, cackling and scratching the ground. When a rooster approached, Ralph shared his first-day experience, expressing a strange feeling inside. The rooster, recognizing the situation, explained that Ralph was ovulating. Surprised, Ralph confessed to never having laid an egg before. Following the rooster's instructions, Ralph double-clicked and pressed, and an egg popped out. Overwhelmed with emotion, he experienced motherhood for the first time. As he was about to lay a 3rd egg, he felt a blow to the back of his head and heard his wife scream, "Damn it, Ralph! Wake up, you lazy, sleeping bitch!" 6. While on a drive, a husband and wife found themselves pulled over by a police officer. The husband, who was behind the wheel, inquired about the reason for the stop. The officer explained that they were driving at least 75 miles per hour in an area where the speed limit is 55 miles per hour. Disputing the claim, the husband insisted he was only going 65. However, the wife interjected, asserting that Charles was indeed speeding at 80. Earning a disapproving look from her husband, the officer then mentioned issuing a ticket for a broken tail light. Charles, surprised, claimed ignorance about the malfunction. His wife chimed in again, stating that Charles had been aware of the broken light for weeks. Charles, now visibly irritated, glared at his wife. The officer added another infraction, citing Charles for not wearing his seatbelt. Attempting to clarify, Charles explained that he had just unbuckled it as the officer approached the car. The wife, once more, accused Charles of regularly driving without his seatbelt. Frustrated, Charles turned to his wife and exclaimed, "Can't you stop talking, the gossiping woman?" The officer then addressed the wife, asking if Charles always spoke to her like this. She replied, "No, officer, only when he's been drinking. Only when he's..." A young Amish fellow finds himself in a tough spot when a bunch of wooden crates spills off his wagon. Sweating and straining under the scorching sun, a passerby expresses concern about the lad overexerting himself. Curious, the man learns that the lad fears his father's wrath if he doesn't tidy up quickly. Advising the lad to take it easy, they eventually pause under a shady tree for a water break. Inquiring about the lad's father, the man suggests having a chat to sort things out. The lad, with a touch of humor, reveals that his father is buried beneath the toppled crates. In one of the oldest neighborhoods, a man lived in an area known for its rough reputation, where the buildings bore the marks of time. His apartment was small and weathered, reflecting the life he led. Each morning he woke up early, put on his worn-out shoes, and headed to a job that barely paid enough to cover his living expenses. The daily grind weighed heavily on him, Yet he persisted day after day. One evening, after an exceptionally grueling day at work, he decided to take a detour on his way home. He strolled through the lively streets of the city, hoping that the urban energy might inspire an idea to improve his financial situation. The city's vibrant lights and the background hum of conversations provided a glimmer of hope he hadn't felt in a while. As he wandered through a quiet alleyway, a sudden rush of cold wind engulfed him. Out of nowhere, a thick cloud of smoke materialized before him. To his astonishment, he found himself face to face with the devil, his presence exuding an intimidating aura. Without hesitation, the devil leaned in and whispered, "Take every single coin you have, find the nearest casino, and bet it all on number 27. Although shaken and unsure, the man thought, "What do I have to lose?" Considering his current dire circumstances, the prospect of changing his fortune seemed like a risk worth taking. Following the devil's directions, he soon stood in front of a roulette table in a crowded casino. With trembling hands, he placed all his money on number 27. The room fell into silence as the wheel spun, and miraculously, the ball landed on 27. His heart swelled with joy. But before he could fully grasp his newfound fortune, the devil reappeared, instructing him to bet everything again on 27. Overwhelmed by excitement and a touch of daring, the man followed the devil's advice. The spectators around him gasped as the ball once more settled on 27. The room buzzed with whispers as onlookers stared in awe. However, the story doesn't end here. The devil, with a mischievous grin, nudged him once more. Despite his better judgment and mounting anxiety, the man placed all his winnings on 27 once again. The atmosphere in the casino was thick with anticipation, and shockingly, for the third time, the ball found its home on 27. Feeling like the king of the world, the man stepped out of the casino, his pockets heavier than they had ever been. As he walked, he encountered the devil once more. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he said, "People often paint you as the ultimate villain, but today you've been my guiding star." The devil, looking a mix of frustration and amazement, responded, "You know something? You are the luckiest person I've ever seen." An elderly dog, appearing quite worn out, wanders into a man's garden. The man carefully examines the dog's collar and notices the round belly, realizing that the dog must have a loving home somewhere. Out of curiosity, the dog follows the man into his house, walks down the hallway, jumps under the sofa, settles down, and quickly falls into a deep sleep. Finding this behavior peculiar, the man decides to let the dog rest. After a little over an hour, the dog stirs awake, strolls to the door, and the kind man opens it for him. Happily, the dog wags his tail in gratitude and strolls out. To the man's surprise, the very next day, the same dog returns, gently scratching at the door. The man opens up, and just like the previous day, the dog casually enters, heads down the hallway, jumps onto the sofa, gets comfy, and falls into another peaceful nap. Once again, the man lets him rest undisturbed. After slightly more than an hour, the dog rises, walks up to the door, and the man promptly lets him out with a cheerful tail wag as the dog takes his leave. This peculiar routine continues for several days. Driven by curiosity, the man decides to attach a small note to the dog's collar, writing, "I noticed that your dog has been enjoying his naps at my house daily." To his amusement, the following day, when the dog visits, there's a new note attached to the collar that reads, "This dog shares a house with 4 lively kids. He's desperately trying to get some uninterrupted sleep. Join in for a nap tomorrow."